Okay, fine. If you ask me, you know, like I told you, if you ask me a combination for the back, you know, I told you do T11, T5, T7. Okay, great. Okay. Now, another thing, if you want to affect something on someone, you know, do this stretch on them. It's not acupuncture, but it's a fabulous thing to do, and you can do it on almost everyone. I know most people will thank you for it, although they'll curse you for the 3 seconds that you're doing it in. Okay. So I'm basically taking the trapezius. I don't want to do this side first, I want to do this side first, so sorry for the people on that side. I'm taking the trapezius, and all I'm doing, I'm asking her to sit on her sit bones, to push her sit bones down. No, don't do anything special, you were fine actually. You know, most people lean back, that's all. And I'm taking the trapezius and I'm pulling it down and slightly to the other side, slightly. Okay, this is okay, right? Look to the right. Yeah, and I'm increasing it slightly now. All I'm doing is stabilizing myself, and you look to the left, and there will be a huge stretch into the ear and the eye slowly.
Oh.
Keep going. Ouchie, ouchie, right? Burning into the ear, into the eye, right? Release the left shoulder here. Okay. Sorry. Relax, just breathe. No, keep going to the left. Okay, that's enough. No, breathe. Lovely. Thank you. Stay there. And I grab this side, and I pull down and slide to the other side. And I'm leaning against the table. Okay, and go to the right. This is good. Most people like it. They hate, I mean, it's very intense. It's a fascia stretch, so it burns. Thank you.
Oh, that was good.
How does your neck feel now?
Oh, it's so good. That's all I need to do.
I'm trying to lift it up. Also, you can sometimes use UB49 for depression, the exact same reason. Okay, but my main point, it's the doorways to the yi.
Doorways to the
Yi. Isha is the name of the point. It's the gateway to the yi.
On the front side for auto Ren 4 plus lung and kidney metal.
No, not lung and kidney metal. Lung is the metal and kidney is the water. So something on the lung, something on the water. If we have some, I'll show you. Okay, so if rapid for normal pulse, you do Ren 4.
Yeah.
And then you do kidney, that's the water. And now, which kidney point? Up to you. Figure out against the neck, against the abdomen, against whatever, or against kidney 7. It may be kidney 7 and 10, but it may not be. But something on the kidney for autoimmune. Something on the lung. Might be lung 5, might be lung 8, might be lung 9. Okay? So you're using the lung and the kidneys as your metal water, because this is systemic inflammation. This is not one meridian has fire point. This is the whole body has inflammation. And then you're using Ren 4, which is the yang. You know, it's the most yang you can get. It's not just fire. That's the yang fire. Okay. And then on the back, if it's slow pulse, what you'd want to do is UB27 plus either UB23 or 52. In other words, kidney.
So bladder 27 plus bladder
23 or 52 plus UB13 or 42. In other words, lung shoe area or kidney shoe area. Plus one just in shoe.
And would you ever do both? Like say someone has a regular pulse, you'd do like lung and kidney on the front, and then you'd also do on the back?
Yes, but it's totally illegal.
Totally illegal.
Totally illegal.
Okay.
You have to choose.
Okay.
But I'm telling you the truth, yes,
Yeah.
I would.
Okay.
In fact, I have. Because you're supposed to check. Okay, now I'm going to have this very, from what I understand, I'm going to have a very strong understanding of rapid pulse, slow pulse. Now, of course, there are regular pulse people, but not to stimulate the back too much for rapid pulse, not to stimulate the front for slow pulse. So can you close that window? Thank you very, very much. We're all here today. You're welcome. Thank you. So, there is something about doing both that sort of says, well, I'm not choosing, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, blah, blah, blah.
Even if it's a regular...
Look, I told you I do it. Okay, don't push it. I do it. But it's not the most elegant thing, and I do it a fair amount. Okay? But If I wanted to be really elegant, I would just do the front and I would do something different on the back. Yeah, I won't do it for rapid pulse, and I certainly won't do it for slow pulse Ren 4. For slow pulse, when I start them on the front, I still do the kidney and the lung, but I won't do the Ren 4. I don't. Nagano said don't stimulate the abdomen, the center line of the abdomen for slow pulse. He said every so often you will get someone that it will kind of get them into like a, like almost panic attack sort of situation, hard to breathe or something. It doesn't happen often. Maybe in Japan it happens more often. I don't know. Again, I'm working in a culture that's very different than that. We have to work with what we are and what we have. It's not so easy to translate what people come from somewhere else, especially when you don't talk to them directly. But I also have a certain amount of respect for the fact that he clearly knew what he was doing. So I don't want to like go totally opposite and also then go on record that, oh yes, by the way, I do exactly what he told you not to do. It's like, it's a little weird. The truth is, yes, I do it. I won't do it if it's either rapid or slow. I definitely won't do it. If it's normal pulse, sometimes yes, I'll do it because I'm hedging my bets. I'm not the kind of person, apparently he was able to say, oh yeah, done. You're perfectly fine now. I can't do that. I do a lot of insurance. I do a lot of fluff.
Do you consider a runner's pulse to be a true slow pulse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, well, the reason why is because, unless they say because it won't get slow unless they have this capacity. I can run my whole life, and I can do anything, I do pretty butch, yoga. And actually, most of the people who do my kind of yoga don't have slow pulses, so maybe that's not even a good thing. But my pulse does not get slow. Doesn't matter how much I run. You've had this capacity to begin with. There are people who run and don't have slow pulses. So I would say yes. Plus I have to work with what I have, unless I have reason to believe something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. You mentioned autoimmune.
Yeah.
So you said it's a slow pulse, you will not do Ren 4.
Yeah.
Can you do Mushu for autoimmune with slow pulse?
I can do Mushu for slow pulse. I'm still doing the kidney and the lungs. But I don't know that Mushu is exactly, Mushu is not a substitute for Ren 4. No. Because what's happening, especially with autoimmune and cardiac, what you're trying to do is that you're trying to really break down that weird tissue that's there underneath it. I mean, apparently Nagano used to say you need to break down the mesentery tissue. So it's a little different than affecting the tissue, but actually breaking it down is different. So I'm not sure that they will totally do the trick. Now it doesn't mean I don't do, I think the same way that everybody else does. I try all these other things. The best is if I do Ren 4, but slow pulse I can't do Ren 4. Believe me, autoimmune with slow pulse, they have gummy on small intestine 20 and on UB27. They have like this big. You've got plenty to do there. You don't need to worry about doing what you're going to do on the front. They all do. All really, lupus types, those, they have stuff on the edge of the sacrum. You don't need to worry about having to do more things. It's okay.
Do you need to lose the sensitivity there before you needle it? Or
if I have to, yeah. If it's just, but often often they don't say ouch. That's not the time. See, that gummy is not the ones that they say ouch are the ones that it comes from tightness. That doesn't come from tightness. That comes from something in the tissue. Actually often it's soft, but it's gummy. The autoimmune type is not a tight ligament that has gummy. This is the softness in the ligament that has gummy. It's very different. So you don't need to necessarily resolve to something else. So. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay, what I think we'll do in the last time, because officially we have half an hour, so it'll be hard to get someone on the table, because you see that, when I'm teaching it takes a long time. So my suggestion is that we go through, because today is supposed to be like healing, right? So I'll give you a bunch of different tricks for different things. So it'll be like a list of things. So those of you who love to write, this is your chance. Okay, and you can just throw at me different body parts or different pains, and I'll give you ideas. But I'll start making up myself. So we talked about the neck, and you see the neck. Shoulder. One of the big things for shoulders, yes, definitely try GB26. Before you do GB26, you may want to do kidney 7 to release GB26. You may want to release the scalings. Another really good thing for shoulders is, say you take lung 9 and large intestine 15. Does anybody have a shoulder issue, some sort of shoulder issue?
I do.
What's going on?
A few years ago, I got a little overzealous on a heavy bag, and ever since, there is pain and weakness. I can't really lift very fast anymore.
Okay, pain?
No, it's deeper when there's weight. It's deeper,
With weight.
it's deeper here when and some range of motion. I'm lying back on the floor flat. This is hard.
Does that hurt you now when you do that?
No, but if I lie flat, I won't be able to, I'll feel it.
Can you lie down? Yeah, wherever, I don't care. I just want you to lie flat and do whatever it is that you need to do.
So you reproduce the pain?
Yeah, exactly. Always reproduce the pain, please. So
I stretch a lot, but I can feel that.
you can feel that.
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you feel it pointing? Okay, it seems more like triple warmer, but so we'll start. Usually I start with lung. Okay, regardless. Okay, do your thing. I'm coming with you.
I have to go lower.
Go wherever you want. I'll come with you. I say.
There is.
Still.
No, that's good.
That's
very
good. Okay, so I usually start with lung 9, large intestine 15. Then I can also add pericardium 7, sanja 4, or heart 3, small 10. So the wrist yin-yang pair. Okay. If you have IP cords, you can kneel and then add the black will go on the yang and the red will go on the yin. Okay. So that's one big trick. And what I do is I shake it as I'm moving.
I was going to ask you if you...
Yeah, I shook it on purpose, yeah. It wasn't some sexual gesture. It was therapeutic.
Is it because of the point for the shoulder, or always that point? Or
No, just
always
these
shoulder?
points, because I'm usually moving them with the shoulder, and I need to stimulate the point also. So I'm shaking it. Okay. So that's for shoulders. Large intestine immune point is often very good for shoulders also. Okay. Also, another thing that's often very good is gallbladder 22, and I needle it into the left. Okay, anything else? Any other body parts? Knees is a big thing, right? Okay, low back. There's tons of different kinds of low back issues, obviously. So things to consider. If it's sacrum, I have a bunch of options for sacrum. Gallbladder 34 is great for sacrum. Okay. The other thing that's really good for sacrum is kidney 6 and UB62 can be very good for sacrum. But in spite, so this is the same as those wrist things. In spite of that, should be for sacrum, that should be it, but sometimes you'll find that liver 3, gallbladder 41 is better, and sometimes you'll find that stomach 41, spleen 5 is better. Stomach 41, spleen 5 combination is actually supposed to be the best combination for knee pain.
So sorry.
Can you repeat again?
Stomach 41, spleen 5 is the best, usually for most knee pains. You'll get a lot of good success with that combination.
IP cords about hip. IP cords?
Wait, one question time. IP cords, yeah, okay. Stomach 41 gets the black, spleen 5 gets the red. So it's a teeny difference in space, and you're still doing IP cords around that, just that space. But if you don't have iron IP cords, no problem. And kidney 6 is the black, and UB62 is the red. Liver 3 is the black, gallbladder 41 is the red.
So did you say the sacrum is also affected by spleen 5, stomach 41?
Might be, especially because some people's back problems really come from. How does that feel? I'm shaking your points. How does that feel?
It's actually interesting. There's other something else is triggered, but it's very interesting. Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
If they have some involvement of the quad, I would think of spleen 5 stomach 41 faster than anything else. That would be like my last resort. Because some people, it really comes from tightness here, the, around stomach 31 area. So then stomach 41, spleen 5 would be a good proposition. But most sacrum pain is not. Sacroiliac points, L5, lots of people have disc problems. For L5, L4, L5 kind of thing, first of all, L5 belongs in spleen 9 category. I haven't had a chance to show you how to needle spleen 9, but I needle it upwards. Okay? Kidney 7, spleen 9, or kidney 6, spleen 9 are really good for L5. And then on the back, I'll do the sacroiliac. I'll definitely do the T11, T12 because I want to pull the spine away from it, from the area. And sometimes do 15 can do a good job. I mean, there's just plenty more to, that you can do. But basically, if you're looking for like the bare minimum, spleen 9 plus kidney plus sacroiliac for all the disc, I've got a slip disc, I've got a blah blah, whatever, all the disc things. And of course, you can always add gallbladder 39. In some cases, it really is helpful. You can add large intestine 16, so there's lots of fluff out there that you can use. What else?
GP39 needled up.
Gallbladder 39 is up. Yes, absolutely.
Can you do REN 10 for spine? Or?
Yes. Any sort of spine thing on the front, I would start with, if it's really spine as opposed to the paraspinal muscles. Okay, because if it's the muscle, that ain't a good trick. But if it's really in the spine, if it's a true disc thing, yes, REN 10, 12, 13 is an option. Yes, absolutely.
What about plantar fasciitis?
Immune point kidney 7. The plantar fascia of the foot is related to the sinus tissue embryologically. So it's very weird, but you can literally, does anybody have plantar fasciitis here? I don't do voodoo acupuncture third parties.
No, tuning in.
No, I understand.
My son has.
Yeah, but I need here. Same voodoo on another person. So, the fascia on the foot is very closely related to the fascia of the sinuses. You can literally press on the sinuses and the foot will start getting better, strangely enough. It's very weird.
So will you pin like stomach 2?
You could. Well, stomach 2 is not my favorite pin point, but my better needle point is would be more closer to the nose, to be honest, or smitus 11. I mean, this is not so happy for me. I prefer lower, but no, I do immune point to release this, and then I check if that did a good job for the fascia in the foot.
So you do immune to release the sinuses, and then you check it against the foot.
And then I'm also checking it against the foot. Some people get pissed off and they go, I didn't come to pay you to treat my sinuses. I'm already taking Claritin or whatever. They got, but there is a clear connection. And kidney 7 is often a very good point for plantar fasciitis. Now, you also have to be aware that sometimes people will be told that they have plantar fasciitis and they actually have a bone spur and the other way around. So it's a difficult call. But I told you already, kidney 7 would be your bone spur point. The big difference is that I can use, we need to get about a C battery. So we can use a C battery, because I didn't bring. If we want Apache. The big difference is a bone spur will respond really well, usually, to Pachi treatment, to the diode chains and all that kind of stuff in aluminum foil. Plantar fasciitis, not really. Might respond a little bit. So now, the other thing is one huge trick that's really worth knowing. It won't make you a lot of money. Okay, it's not a treatment trick. But if people call you and they have all sorts of, especially in the foot and the hand, bone problems, especially possibly ligaments too, tell them wrap it with aluminum foil and go to sleep with a sock or a glove on. And often they will tell you it gets much better.
So
aluminum foil pulls out inflammation. Yeah, go ahead.
So bone problems in the hands and the
yeah,
feet?
the reason why, especially in the hands and feet, it can be elsewhere too. The problem is everywhere else the bone is covered with a lot more tissue. So it's hard for the aluminum foil to pull out the inflammation. There's too much stuff in between, so it's not as drastic a result. Okay, if you do it on the elbows. On the elbow, you've got bones that are close. But any sort of broken bones or, hairline fractures, blah, 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 just straight out aluminum foil, not heavy duty, regular aluminum foil. Certainly worth it trying. Hey, try it. Worst case scenario, you feel like you're crinkling in bed. It's not the end. No, I personally prefer to do it during the daytime. So I tell them, it's your choice, but it's got to be many hours. You can't do it the aluminum foil for 30 minutes and expect results. It's got to be many, like 5, 6, 7 hours running. And then keep doing it. So I prefer to, it's like the only thing is if you use aluminum foil and you're walking with it, afterwards that sock, it's like it's going to have like little silver balls everywhere inside the sock. You're never going to want to wear that sock without the aluminum foil again. So, what the hell. It's a really good trick. Again, nothing works on everyone. But, any other pain issues you'd like to try and...
Question. So, according to my experience, some issues when I treat, I see immediate change. Some issues a few days after. Which issues would I expect? And like for instance, I treated some guy for his neck, and only the day after he felt the difference.
I think it's not to do with the cases. I think that it's a type of person. I don't get that that often, but it does happen. And I can't stand it when it happens. It's so annoying when first of all, somebody's on the table and they're not getting better, and you're running around doing your best. By the way, I'm not the only person that you probably thinking, wow, he's a crazy guy. It's like he keeps putting more needles in, he keeps pushing. Kiiko is exactly the same. Okay, when patient, I don't know about now because now she has a smaller clinic, but when she used to be in that clinic on Washington Street and she had 7 treatment rooms, she didn't care. She had all the rooms she wanted, So somebody would come, and if they didn't get better, she could keep them there for 2.5 hours. She tells them, oh, it's an hour and 10 minutes. But if it wasn't working, she would keep at it. If they were willing to stay, they would stay until, she had run between different rooms, and it wasn't the only thing she was doing, but she wanted to make sure, it's very ambitious. So I can't tell you to do that because everybody's got, especially if you don't have extra rooms. I've always tried to work with at least 1 extra room, so I can put people, so I can have the luxury of doing that. But it's not always possible. So, but I'm just saying that, for me, that's part of the way I work. Is like I'm always trying to push it more. I'm not the kind of person that says to people, next to you, it just doesn't feel good for me. So if they get up from the table and it's not good, and then again, sometimes you have to evaluate, is it worth going for more? Because sometimes going for more is going to get you less. Sometimes you're pushing the person. Some people should not be pushed. It's a personality type. But there's also a personality type that will get better the next day. I don't know if it's a personality, but there's a type. They will unfortunately get better the next day as opposed to on the table. It's not unfortunate they got better. It's unfortunate. It's a little hard to say that you did it. I can't trust. I don't know what happened. How do I know? Maybe they had the greatest sex in their lives that night, and therefore they got better. How do I know? Or they didn't sleep, and therefore they got better. Or they ate chocolate ice cream, and they got better. If it's not happening on the table, there is no way I can say it happened. It had something to do with the acupuncture. I just can't. They can.
An older patient, and always after the treatment it gets stiff, and only the day after it gets...
Yeah, so that when you know that it's continuing, when you've seen that it's time and time like that, you say, and then it's up to them if they're willing to tolerate the fact that there is a less comfortable, but then it gets much better, that's up to them. But that's because of them, it's not because of what you, in my understanding, it's how they respond. Some people, once they get stimulated, the body goes into tightness, and then it will release. It's not because certain points do that necessarily. It's not the treatment strategy that's wrong, it's just that this is how this person responds, and unfortunately I can't, if they're not going to get better on the table, it's going to be hard for me to figure it out, that's all. So you just accept.
Tennis elbow?
Tennis elbow, okay. Tennis elbow, release the scalenes, start from here. Okay. Then, after you've done everything, you know, and of course, by the way, when I'm giving you tricks, it means you've done the constitute, you've done the abdomen, okay, which is really. Then, best point for tennis elbow is this one. Don't forget, tennis elbow, usually both tennis and gopher, GB26. It's a twisting. Anything that involves twisting is gallbladder 26 also. Then, heart 3. The opposite. Gopher's elbow, after you've done anything and everything, and you've released everything, and by the way, the gopher's elbow, also small intestine 910 on the back is very good because it's on the heart channel. The heart channel metal water, instead of metal water and a heart for the heart channel, we do small intestine 910, meaning between small intestine 9 and 10 needle. That's very good for the heart channel. Okay, for gopher's elbow, I do a immune point at the end.
Golfers or?
Gopher is this,
Okay, yeah.
right? So I do immune point. Tennis is on the immune area, I do heart 3. So treatment is pretty much the same, except meaning release the neck, blah, blah, and at the end, and gallbladder 26, at the end, when I'm going local, for gopher, I heart 3, how is it now? For gopher, immune point, how's your gopher? Okay, that's the difference. The other thing is for both of those, if you have chains or you have toys, wrap. Start wrapping.
Yeah.
The other thing that's very good is if you do kinesio taping. Do you know what that is?
I
It's a
know I
stretchy
don't do
tape.
it,
Okay.
yeah.
There's many methods for this. My method is that kinesio. There's many methods to do kinesio. All I do is I take the muscle and wrap it this way with a little bit of tension, and that often gives because it's good to because it sustains them throughout the week also. So I just give it some torque this way, not huge amount, and just tape it, and it often does a good job. The other thing is you can tape this down. You know, this stretch is often very good because I'm releasing all the blood supply into the arm. So I would definitely do the stretch. And then you can also take kinesio tape and leave it there to sort of support that. But neck for cancer.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is hips issues, and the second, what is your opinion about the dermal needle?
Okay. Press ducts, great for homework. Leave them in, no problem. I leave them on the joint points even, because the thing is, people hate the joint points, the foot points. They hate the needle, but they don't seem to mind press ducts. It's very weird. Now, I don't use the sarin press ducts. Too expensive for my taste. I use the Dongbank press ducts. They're fine. I just need extra tape. No big deal. Do not mix press ducts with magnets unless the magnet is on top of the press. So you can put a press duct and then a magnet on top of it. But don't do press duct one point, leave it bare, leave it just as a press duct and put a magnet somewhere else. That's considered not clean. Because you're mixing metal inside the body and magnet outside the body.
Do you use dermal needle?
Intradermal?
Yes, in your practice.
No, I'll tell you why. Because intradermals, there's only two places I would use it on. Stomach 13, because intradermal means that instead of going straight in, it goes at an angle. Okay, so stomach 13 would be one place to use it, and spleen 9 would be another place to use it. Spleen 9, an intradermal, 6 millimeter intradermal ain't gonna do nothing for spleen 9, in my experience.
What about scars?
Sorry?
Scars tissue.
For scar tissue, I know. What I do for scar tissue, I would rather leave magnets on. First of all, for scar tissue, I treat with diadrains and pachi-pachi. I'll show you tomorrow when we have the battery. And then for homework, no, I wouldn't. I would leave magnets on it. I think scars respond to magnets also. By the way, scars, 2 ounces of castor oil. 60 drops each of lavender oil and lemon oil. And if you can find myrrh or frankincense oil, also 30 drops. And just apply on a scar. twice a day, 3 times a day, for 3 days on, 3 days off, 3 days on, 3 days off. Anytime you work, 2 ounces of castor oil, about 60 to 100 drops of lavender, 60 to 100 drops of lemon essential oils. If you can find frankincense or myrrh essential oils, they're very difficult to find. I'll explain that in a second. Add 30 drops of that also. If you can't, what you will find in terms of myrrh and frankincense usually is going to be diluted in jojoba. Okay? In which case, take the jojoba, take that, mix half of that with 1 ounce of that and 1 ounce with the castor oil, because you're really not getting a lot of myrrh or frankincense in it. Because they're resins, they don't like making essential oils because they're basically going to block the bottle. The whole bottle is going to like turn into glue sort of thing. So for scars, I prefer that. I personally don't leave intradermals on scars. I believe that Kiiko probably does. I don't really know. My own preference would be magnets. So, and again, the problem with magnets is that magnets for homework, for leaving for homework is fabulous. In terms of treatment, the problem is your choices in the treatment room are the F3 machine, which you can now no longer get. There's a whole bunch of materials that you can't get anymore. If you can get your hands on an F3 pointer, they used to be $500. I believe now if you could find one, it'll be $5,000 because you can't get them in a free market. That's the best. Otherwise, Manaka hammer. You put the magnet on 3,000 Gauss magnet and you tap on it. Do you know how long that takes to do a treatment with magnets? You know, like tapping on points. Like, no way. So I'm lucky. I have an F3 pointer, but you know, it's one of those things I don't teach people because it's not. It's totally unpractical in my opinion. 2 years ago, Kiiko. She said that she forgot to renew a license. So one day she gets a letter in the mail saying you're not allowed to practice anymore. So she had a week that she couldn't practice because until she renewed her license, sort of thing. So she said, so you know, it's very inventive, you know. Well, I can't put needles in, but I can use magnets. I mean, she's not going to call her patients and say, by the way, don't come today. You know, I don't have a license. Who the hell does that? You know, it's like, so, but she also doesn't want to needle them because then. So you can do moxa, you can do magnet. So she has an F3 pointer, and she did everything with F3 pointer. So she was very excited about that, and she was like, oh, you can do this, and you can do that, by the way. You know, it's like nobody heard about this F3 pointer for like 20 years. We haven't heard about the F3 pointer. Suddenly, 2 years ago, like everything, oh, F3 pointer is so great, you know, for bones, for scars, for this, for that. Yes, it's true, but most people can't get it. An F3 pointer is, update you? So, it's an electrostim machine. It's a Japanese electrostim machine that OMS used to sell. But it's built for the vibration or whatever. I don't understand anything about it. Okay, I just know I have the machine. I know what setting to put on. I'm going to put it on. I don't care about what's inside, you know. But the vibration is meant for magnets and not just for needles. It's the machine that Kawai used to use for electric stim. That's what he liked also. I don't know what's the, I mean, I don't know, I don't understand continuous pulse, Yakia pulse, you know, square pulse, round pulse. I mean, people talk about these things like, it doesn't mean anything to me, but it has some capacity that no other electric stim machine seems to have. The Hibiki 7 was originally an ear point locator, but Kawai used it to stimulate, and he had a fabulous treatment for thyroid and for neck with a chain and aluminum foil, which I can do because I have a big. And instead, the only treatment that's left for the neck is chain with Apache, which is it's very interesting. When Kawai Apaches you, you don't feel anything. The muscles jumping and and you go, oh, fine, no problem. If I do it, or Kiiko does it, or anybody else does it on the patient, they all go, ugh, gross. It feels like a cattle prod. Okay, but yeah, I don't know what it is. Like how all you do is press a button. How is it that he presses a button and the patient says fine, and I press the same fucking button and the patient jumps and complains? He used to use 1.5 inch needles with 1 inch tube and thick needles. He came to my house. He wanted to choose needles. And eventually he chose these water. I had to autoclave them because they were thick Chinese needles. They were good needles, but they were really thick. I would have never used them. He likes, because he uses mucks on top of the needle, he needs thicker needles. But what he does is he uses a short tube and just bangs them. Nobody complains about any of his needles or anything that I brought the most sensitive patients to him. One woman's like, I was like, I can't believe I brought her. She's like, what? I was crazy. She thought he was great. She didn't complain about anything. If I would have dared do what he did. You know, he had some capacity of doing things that other people, if they do it. Kiiko says the same thing. She can't do the same. She can't reproduce it. So, but anyway.
You have time for the hip explanation?
For the hip, yes, of course. Yeah. Hip. First of all, depending. Hip can be this, or this.
Joint.
Hmm?
Hip joint.
Hip joint. Okay. Spleen 9 is my best point for hip, in my personal opinion.
No matter where.
Well, he pointed to the side. So, okay, also he said the joint. Okay, joint problems are always spleen. Spleen 5, spleen 9 is always for the joint, regardless of what the joint is. But spleen 9 is a fabulous point for hip, as is inner yin. Okay, and I might add stomach 41, spleen 5 to this possibility, or because it's more on the side, I might actually do liver 3, gallbladder 41. But even though it's here, even though then you might go, okay, is it bone? Then you have to investigate more. Is it a bone issue? Is it bone? Is it arthritis, for example, osteoarthritis? Then it's kidney 7. Is it rheumatoid arthritis? Then it's Ren 4. Okay, it all depends what else what you're finding. The other thing is because it's side, I might rather than spleen 5, stomach 41, I might do liver 3, gallbladder 41. Remember that combination I told you? That might be better. Okay. Then L3 is connected to the hip. L3 is connected to the hip and L1 is connected to the inguinal. Make sense?
Photo, Jerry?
Yeah. Or do. I mean, whatever you find there that will release. So that would be my sort of like basic protocol, for the hip joint.
But further around, like.
The piriformis?
No, like sometimes people point to above the piriformis, like you say the hip, but kind of like around, just around here.
Okay, then it's if it's muscular, then spleen 3. Okay, does you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then also, depending on what they're pointing, because if they're pointing here, it's one thing, but if they're pointing here, it's another. This one is immune. Okay, relates to immune. This one, I think, is really ultimately more muscular and or a structural that probably relates to the psoas in some strange way. So I might actually look to release something here to release this. And actually, piriformis point may still release it. The other thing I often give people is, those foam rollers? One of the best things you can get people to do, and by the way, great for knees, is get them to buy a foam roller. Actually, they do sell them in sports stores, so at least in the US they do. The rolling, so this is the roller, and they roll up and down on the tensor fascia lata, is one of the best things you can get people to do. Just like stretching this fascia here, stretching this fascia is extremely important for the whole gait, because that tightness here will screw up your back, will screw up your knee, etc., etc. So those are some of the things that, that has nothing to do with acupuncture, but I think is really important to do. Because, we're dealing with the body. I mean, you can't, with acupuncture, you can't go and release the whole tensor fascia. I mean, what are you going to do? Everything there? So yes, there's things you can try and release in there, but, with a foam roller, it's 2 seconds, and it hurts like hell. But it's worth it. Anything else?
Would you use gallbladder 34 as well for the hip area?
Gallbladder 34 for hip, no. Not that I mean, maybe on some particular person I might, but no, that's not my favorite thing for hip. It doesn't compute for me, the two. Gallbladder 34 I use for sacrum. Gallbladder 34 I use for opposite side hand. Hand issues. Gallbladder 34 on one side, hand on the other. Down.
Twist or carpal tunnel or?
You can try that now. Well, first of all, for wrists, yes. For carpal tunnel, no. Because if it's true carpal tunnel, the problem with carpal tunnel is they say carpal tunnel, but it isn't. If it's true carpal tunnel, it should be pericardial metal water. And of course, release scalenes or release spectralis or something. But because it's a narrowing of the tunnel, if it's really that, but most people say carpal tunnel, that's not really what they have. They mean general wrist, they mean RSI, rheumatoid strain injury, which comes from this. It's not truly, and the carpal tunnel itself, then also liver aid. Because it's a liver, it's a tendon.
Do you have a different strategy when people have had hip replacement or knee replacement with regard to any other aspect of your treatment? Does it make a difference?
No, except you need to know why they have the hip replacement. I mean, the main thing is, was it osteo or rheumatoid arthritis? If it was arthritis, and usually it is, because the treatment strategy is ever so slightly different. Osteoarthritis is kidney 727 and UD11. And yes, you can add lung 5. No, I'm sorry. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disorder, so you will look similar, except you're going to want REN4 in there. So you're going to want REN4 plus something on the kidney, might be kidney 7, but might not have to be kidney 7, and you're going to get lung in there also because it's autoimmune. So that's the difference. It's subtle, but it's different.
Josen also for would you use Josen as well?
Josen, okay, Josen is in the category of UB27. What?
You just asked me if TAC uses it for autoimmune, and I haven't seen him use it, but it doesn't use it.
But L5, yeah, but Kiiko says L5 is supporting point for autoimmune. So it's L5 meaning Watteau, meaning, so yes. So sort of yes, but the main point is on the sacroiliac point rather than L5. Closely related. Now, sometimes you'll see, on some patients you'll see me do 2, sacroiliac and L5. So I'm basically saying the sacral. Okay, so again, the reason I'm telling you, now, is that an illegal or an illegal combination? Well, no, neither. But it looks a little weird, like here, gee, why is it surrounding the sacrum? So, and I'm not, sometimes, I started doing it by just kind of adding points that made sense, and I realized, well, this is what I'm doing. So you want to look at the fact that the sacrum is a parasympathetic ganglion. The parasympathetic system comes from either here or here, okay? And therefore, releasing the sacrum is one of the most important things you can do. Why? Because if you release the parasympathetic system, what happens? Let's go to the first moment we started this class. We provide them with space and light. We're opening them up for space and light. So sometimes you don't even have to think so much, well, this point for this point for this. Sometimes it's very primitive. Sometimes thinking primitive is very useful. Just open up the nervous system. Open up the diaphragm, open up the neck, open up the sacrum, open up the major joints. Like the woman who was here before, she's got this thing where the shoulder is held. Of course the neck's going to be held, because if the shoulder is held, see what happens here? So how can you release the shoulder blade down so that this will allow to open? Okay. So sometimes it's not so esoteric. I think we're very used to this. Secrets from my grandfather, and I will only give you 20%, this sort of thing. It's not always like that. Sometimes we have to make it up ourselves. How do you think these people came up with all these secrets? They tried, they sat and they thought, and the thing is, and the reality is, if you think, like even in the people come 14th generation families, blah, blah, blah. How many people like that are there? Think about it. It's kind of like somebody sat in the first generation of the 14, however long it took, and sort of used their imagination and thought it out. That's the trick. The trick is not to have zillions of points that are, most acupuncturists use probably 15 points, 20 points in their whole career, out of 365, I believe there are, something like that. We don't use all the points. It's nice to have some knowledge and be able, it's how we play with looking at, it's how we look at the body. It's looking at the human body and making connections and going, gee, I wonder if I could. That's so much more interesting than having zillions of combinations. And believe me, you've got notes with more combinations than you want. And on my website, you can spend the next 3 years just reading tricks and combinations and blah, blah, and all sorts of things. But ultimately, it's about, are you willing to just look at a human body and start make the connections yourself, because you will be the first generation of your 14th generation family practitioners, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't rely on someone else. Because number one, they don't share it. I mean, well, some of them do, but mostly, it's kind of funny. They tell you all these interesting things. It's like, okay, how did you do that? So, ooh, my grandfather's secret, I don't tell anyone. Okay, that's really useful. So you have to go and watch and sort of go and imagine what you think is going on. Even Kiiko, she gives, supposedly, not supposedly, she tells, honestly, there's no point in going to her clinic. I'm like, no. No, really. I went, I was like, I got everything I needed from, being in classes. I did every single class she's ever done for 10 years, it's true. I sat there and was a little moxable in every single class, and, I did a little more than just due diligence, but it's not, but still you have to make it your own. That's really, I know I keep hammering this point, but, it's like people want to have protocols, and the biggest gift I can give you is if you have a way of thinking, if you just have this image of me like, oh, have we looked at this thing strangely, or, sometimes I have in me, I would sort of think like, how would Jeffrey look at it, literally in his posture? How did Miriam approach this? Literally as a personality, not by point. That's the inspiration. And that's what makes it happen. Jeffrey, this is Jeffrey Yuen, he was a child channeler. When I first met Jeffrey, nobody knew who he was. He was basically, he would come, and you'd ask, it was like winding him up. And he would say, oh, Jeffrey, can you talk about blah, blah, blah? And he would go, oh, sure, and he would just tell you, how did you, I don't think you ever heard the term before I asked you the question. He would just make up stuff. And then suddenly his eyes would roll up, and he doesn't do this anymore, unfortunately. But, it was smaller, it was different, it was just a different atmosphere. And his eyes would roll up, and suddenly he would stop talking, and it was unrelated to the sentence he said 2 minutes before. And he would go on a 30-minute rampage on something, not rampage, but, like a lecture on something. And you said, wow, this is incredible, I don't understand anything. But it was fascinating, And then 30 minutes later, suddenly he would, like the eyes would come down, and he would sort of, and he would ask a question about what he said, and he would trying to rationalize what he said, and he was like, the medicine is really about making connections in your own way. You have to channel something in your own way, and we're each going to, if you're very lucky, you have some great people in the medicine that you can channel. If not, you channel some authority. That's what everybody does. Some clinician in school that seemed to be good, and you imitate them. And then you still come, that one? He's an idiot. I don't want to practice like him. I'm going to practice like this one. But having inspiration of different people, that's so much more important than having this point or that point. It's not going to buy you a lot to have more points. What's going to buy you is having the enthusiasm for the medicine. Loving the medicine is more important than knowing the medicine. Yes.
I don't know if we have time, but you mentioned speaking about, rather than thinking about techniques, at least someone who's been able to gather the experience, such as yourself, thinking about how they would approach a problem. Not just within their style, but them specifically. Can you speak a little bit about some of your major influences and how their ways of thinking kind of differ from yours? Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, or at dinner. But no, because they have something at 5:30 and we should.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to come to dinner, and I'm happy, as you can see, I'm one of those people. I don't channel, but you can wind me up and I can talk until 8 o'clock. I'm good. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll see you tomorrow. 10 o'clock or before. If you want to keep your cat. Like sometimes people